1. Hi, wrestling fans, and welcome to another scintillating edition of AIWF Ringside Wrestling. I am Hall of Famer Mad Matt Carter, being joined by Hall of Famer Rick Diesel and Hall of Famers Brian and Reagan Danzig. How is everybody doing? It's Championship Sunday as we record.
I don't even know what that means. So is that a football thing?
It is.
I knew.
Yeah. Rick Diesel, you used to watch football.
I used to watch football a lot, but I don't know more.
I work in a very heavy football community, and like when the kids ask me and they're like, "What's your favorite football team?" and I don't watch football. It's like I'm saying I don't believe in God. Like it's just the craziest.
Yeah, but you don't.
Thing. So, well, but if you,
they react the same way.
They react the same way. They probably react worse. I mean, the thought that they like, I don't like football, just blows their mind. So
tell them you're a big Man United fan.
Is that regular football? That's Manchester United.
Yeah. That's a soccer team.
That's soccer. It's still football, depending on where you're at.
Yeah. But the Brits actually invented the term soccer. I looked it up. We use it the most, but they actually invented the term. Yeah. So that, according to what I read, something funny happened last night on Saturday night's main event. I was telling you all this before we went on the air, but they had a bit of an audio problem out of San Antonio last night from awfulannouncing.com, which I do not normally go to as a reference because they're just kind of mean sometimes, and they cover all sports and they shit on all announcers. So me being an announcer, not really a big fan, but if something bad happens and you want to know what happened, they will cover it. It says here, it's rare to see a live television program go off without a glitch. WWE's Saturday night's main event had a pretty notable start at Saturday night show. Joe Tessitore's open, where he told viewers what they were going to see, was overdubbed in Spanish. Complicating matters more is that both Tessitore's English commentary and the Spanish dubbing were audible. That lasted for a few minutes, including through the entirety of Tessitore's on-camera open with co-host Jesse the Body Ventura. Eventually, while Michael Cole and Pat McAfee were talking ahead of the opening match between Nia Jax and Rhea Ripley, problem seemed to be solved. The issue was not with any specific NBC affiliates, as people in different markets throughout the country seem to have had the same problem. It also didn't seem to be an issue for anyone watching Peacock, NBC's streaming service. And it's got a bunch of tweets that people put out, taking pictures, video of their TV set, like, what's going on? Because I think all of us that are TV nerds, when something like that happens on a broadcast channel, we thinking, it's some young dumbass that's, running the board on the weekend has made some kind of wrong connection, or it was set up wrong at the local level, but this appears to be at a national level. And the big mystery is, to me, is if it happened on NBC, why didn't it happen on the Peacock feed too? Because they're exactly the same.
Wonder if the Peacock feed doesn't even have the Spanish feed because it's actually in English there. Does that make sense? Like maybe the Peacock run through or whatever you call it, like audio lines or hookups aren't even in the Spanish because that's not an option you can have on Peacock unless you maybe look at a Spanish section. I don't know. I would just wonder.
Was there a delay?
A delay.
Like a delay between the live and the Peacock. Like maybe it like 5 seconds off?
Maybe by the time Peacock started airing it, they could have fixed it, or took it out somehow.
According to that article, it went on just for a few minutes on the regular network, and you can pick a what do they call it? Spatial audio, Spanish audio, or whatever. There's an option for that. I'm looking on my Peacock account now, see where you can switch languages.
Makes me feel better that the big leagues do it when I've done it myself a couple of times.
See, I told you, everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah, it don't show in your profile. Where I'm not going to show you on my Peacock profile, not because I'm ashamed of using Ted as my mascot, but let's see, account.
Now you've got me. My icon is Dwight Schrute, so let's see. Now we're just all doing stuff off the. This is the excitement of But like if they have their own feed, maybe they wouldn't even have the Spanish feed. Like,
or they have it separate. It's like they do their Spanish in a different way to where it wouldn't have interfered.
Yeah, there's probably a. Let's see if I search WWE. Watch replay. I wonder if there's an option here where there's got to be an option when you pull it up that you could switch to Spanish. There's got to be. Yes. All right. Once you start the video, you can click the little text box at the bottom and it'll let you switch language. Yeah. You can switch. Yeah.
No, mine on TV only has English 5.1 and English AD.
Yeah, that's me. What's the English AD?
I don't know. It has an AD with lots of parentheses. I don't know what that means.
I don't know either. And we're not going to solve that mystery today, I don't think. But
no.
But anyway, yeah, because I'm not sure that's not riveting TV. But I thought that was interesting. But what else? Go ahead.
Well, it means on Netflix, it means that the TV, which is a feature that provides additional commentary for TV shows and movies. And that's on the one on Netflix. I don't have any idea what that means, but anyway, and wonder if that's the one for blind people where it describes what's going on.
Probably.
There is one that you can get that is for blind and sight impaired, and it tells you walks up to a red door, stuff like that. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah. So yeah, I stumbled into that one time on another streaming service on Disney Plus one time by accident and had a hell of a time getting it off of there. Because that, just like I told y'all earlier, when the Spanish and English audio were running at the same time last night, it took, and part of it is because I'm kind of stressed out right now, but it took about 15 seconds for me to go to 0 to infuriated. And it's like one time I tried to watch an event on Peacock and it was coming from Saudi Arabia and there was no English commentary. All you could hear was the, Arabic commentary. And that didn't bother me as bad because it was still just two voices. I couldn't understand what they were saying, but it wasn't like I was getting blasted with two different languages at the same time. But all right, guys, it's getting down to it. It looks like in 2 weeks we're going to be kicking off this season, the 2025 season. Wow, 2025.
I saw that. I saw that on something, and I was like, that can't be right. Yeah, it is.
Ivanhoe Fire Department. Here we go, Rick Diesel, the AIWF Mid Atlantic and Iconic Championship Wrestling teaming up together.
We are teaming up together for several shows this year. This is the first one of the year. It was actually supposed to have been on the first, but due to some technical glitches with the Virginia Athletic Commission, that we had to move it to the 8th. But everything's good now. So I guess they were just having a hard time getting everything kicked off after the holidays. But yes, Iconic Championship Wrestling out of Tennessee and AIWF Mid Atlantic out of North Carolina. Meet in the middle, kind of, in Virginia to do joint shows. This will be our first one of the year. And like I said, we're going to try to do about one about every month. So the people up in that area can get the best of both worlds coming from both sides. So it'll be interesting.
Yes, it will be. I see Seth Clayton Burns on the card there, Matt Anderson.
And there's several wrestlers that's with ICW that have worked, with AIWF in the past. J.D. Anderson, David Steele, Stallion, Frank Manson. I mean, there's Brett Mulligan there with his boobs hanging out, which he's, he ain't a cowboy no more unless he's one of them cowboys. But I don't know nothing about that. That's not on me. So, what he rides is his business. But, I mean, it's interesting. They got some good talent coming out of Tennessee, and the AIWF will be doing some of their tapings for the Mid-Atlantic show up there. So I'm excited to see how it works out.
That's very cool. Very cool. Tell them about that fire department. That's a great venue. Not a bad seat in the house.
I love that fire department. It's good for filming. It's as far as fire departments go. We can film at a downward angle, so they've always, we used to run shows up there several years ago, and so this is us kind of getting back into that. So it's going to be interesting. Like I said, it's always been a good crowd. I've always been very receptive. We're hoping to build it into something massive.
I also like the setup if T's Treats is there. They have the best setup because they're pulled right up into to the side of one of the roll-up doors. So you don't even have to leave the building to get T's Treats. So,
well, luckily or unfortunately, how you look at it, we won't be having a food truck there till it warms up, so we don't have to raise that door.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, when it gets warmer, though, it does have the best
when it gets
setup.
warmer, we can get the food truck up there.
Yeah, you'd freeze out your audience probably more.
Oh, yeah, we don't want to do that. So T's Treats will be running a concession stand, though, but from the inside.
Gotcha. Well, we know Justin Flash is going to be there. Kevin Phoenix has been invited, but I don't see him on the poster, so I guess that's
he hasn't said anything to us about whether or not he's coming yet, so I don't know. We sent the invite out. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
We don't talk to nobody much anymore. He's a little reclusive.
Well, he's getting older, too, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've decided in my life I don't like to leave the house much anymore.
Neither do I. Neither do I. I think that's common, as people get older.
I got a very, very comfortable pair of Hello Kitty fuzzy sleeping pants, like lounge pants, and I just want to come home and put those on and just watch TV. I'm officially old now, so
yeah.
Wednesday's my birthday, so I am officially
happy birthday.
Woo! I can't believe she told us.
It'll show up on Facebook.
Yeah, and then everybody will do the obligatory happy birthday.
I don't do that, by the way.
I know. Yeah, I know. Oh, it's hurt my feelings.
It's nothing personal. I just don't do it.
My feelings been hurt for years now.
If you're a friend of mine and you don't know that I'm wishing you a happy birthday in spirit, then I don't know what to tell you. That's on you.
Yeah, exactly. If you ain't figured it out by now. Still, though, I think I got to give credit. I got to take credit for best birthday card ever. When I found that one at Spencer's Gifts that I gave to you, and it said on the front, on this birthday, I just wanted you to know one special thing or something like that. And you open it up, and all it said on the inside was "fuck you."
I cherish that.
Yeah, I've been back in there and tried to look for it again, but I can't find it. They've got a whole new line of more perverted stuff now. So I love that because it was simplistic. All right, here's our schedule for 2025 on your screen now. As you can see, we are loaded up with events. Oh my God. The YouTube algorithm is just going to be great this year. I envision both the AIWF Network and Ringside Wrestling channel increasing a whole lot. Speaking of which, go ahead and smash that like button, ring that bell if you could on YouTube, whichever one you're watching us on. It really helps the channel, helps get our videos out to more people. We're kind of a niche thing, so we need all the help we can get. And we're not like a cooking show or a football show or something that a vast majority of Americans are interested in. Our independent wrestling scene's pretty niche audience. So we are up to over 1,800 subscribers on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. So thank y'all for that. Keep them coming, man. But yeah, so we're gonna. God, that's a lot of shows, Rick Diesel, that on the schedule this year.
Well, and there's something interesting about that too. If you'll notice, not one of the AIWF Mid Atlantic big shows are listed there. No Spring Jam, no Deal with the Steel, no Fright Night.
So those are to be added later?
Probably. We'll either pick a date that's already on there or add another date for those shows.
Oh, okay. That's what I wanted to clarify.
So that could get bigger.
Yeah.
There's always that chance.
Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm just looking to see if anything conflicts with any race dates. Nothing yet. So, nothing in the spring anyway, it doesn't look like.
Well, and I'll tell you something else. We're also have already started negotiating with ICW to, if we decide to use the dates that's already booked, One thing we're going to do is in conjunction with ICW dates like look at August there, for instance. August 16th, Mount Airy, August 23rd, Ivanhoe, Virginia. Those 2 dates are back-to-back weekends. So if we decide to use those dates, then what we'll do is we will have a big show as a 2-part, and it'll be in both towns.
Oh, okay. It keeps populating on the wrong screen. Sorry about that. Oh, Lord. I'm having all kinds
Oh, look how cute.
yeah, that picture shows up everywhere. Nah, she doesn't watch this show. I could say whatever I want. But yeah, I'm trying to get the PowerPoint up so I could read some ads, but it kept populating on the wrong side. Watch, see, I didn't want it to populate there. I want to edit it over here.
I just saw it.
I know. I can't keep it from popping up. I finally had to drag it over.
Oh, okay.
For some reason, everything's populating on my second monitor all of a sudden. For some reason, you restart the computer and everything just goes haywire.
If you mess up that second screen, it's a nightmare. I have one of those at work, and oh my gosh. Well, actually, I have my computer, a second screen, and then a Promethean board, which is the big
Ouija board.
Wall. Huh?
A Ouija board at school?
No, Promethean.
Oh.
I was just talking about the pain of when it messes up on your second monitor and you're trying to fix it. Oh.
Yeah, it's pain. But there you go. All kinds of big shows. So there's a possibility that we could have Deal with the Steel Part 1 on August 16th and then Part 2 on August 23rd. Not saying that's going to happen, but it's a possibility.
It's a possibility.
Incredible. What a year. I'm looking so forward to it. I am looking so forward to it. I'm even in negotiations with the wife about upgrading the AIWF fan cam. So, we'll get into more detail about that later on. But let's see now. I guess I should read some ads real quick and tell you all about our good friends.
Yeah, I got something I want to show you guys. So go ahead.
Okay, let me drag this back over here. As you see, we spare every expense here at AIWF Ringside Wrestling. So you watch me edit the show live to tape. There's nothing that goes into it. There's no post. What you see is what actually aired. Teased Creations custom apparel. Man, if you need custom t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, tumblers, they even sell sets of freaking ink pens. Now, this is from the fall, and I hadn't updated it yet. Which is why I need to get on that. They're all over the internet. So these are some basic designs of t-shirts. You can see the Halloween fall theme stuff here from a few months ago. But Tees Creations is all over the internet. I mean, all over it. They're at teescreations22.com. Tees Creations by Allied Apparel on Facebook. They were off TikTok for one day, but now they're back. TikTok, Tees Creations. And also on Shopify. If you need any type of custom-made apparel, like, shirts for the Little League baseball team, the family reunion, church homecoming, whatever, Constitution Day, if you're one of those crazies that celebrates that, because I didn't even know it was a thing until a few years ago. I'm sorry, I shouldn't pick on people that celebrate Constitution Day. But anyway, or any other weird holiday, Shopify, TikTok, Facebook, World Wide Web on the website, teescreations22.com. Hit them up, ask them, and they'll tell you whether they can help you out or not. Most likely they will be able to. If you want to make a funny shirt up that says, I got smashed at Wimbledon like Krusty the Clown had in The Simpsons many years ago, they can help you out. Check them out. TikTok, Tees Creations. And I know they've got they were looking to dip their toe in a new line of apparel, but I don't want to bring it up here because it involves politics. And
working on it.
Somebody mad. Okay. All right. It might make our audience mad. We're tough.
She's also advertising for the wrestlers that she is available to make wrestling t-shirts. So
that's still in the building process, but we are working on it.
I saw a post today.
Yeah,
really?
it went up today, and it's going to be expanding.
Good. Well, that way it's hard enough at this level for the boys to make any side money without serious investments in gears, usually from a third party. I know Pro Wrestling Tees out of Chicago is a big one, but what kind of fee do they charge? I can guarantee it's gonna be way more than Tees Creations is gonna set up, So anyway, just be on the lookout for that. If you want to sell wrestling t-shirts. Big D's Grill, yummy, yummy. Oh man, that's a new food truck in the Mount Airy area. Has Big D's been busy lately, Rick Diesel, or are they kind of winter breaking it right now
Kind of
too?
shut. They kind of been on the hiatus for the winter, but there is a possibility. We're talking about possibly it going out this Friday. It's coming Friday. We don't know for sure yet. We have to kind of see how the weather holds up.
But look at good looking Philly steaks, wings, man. They got it all: chicken tenders, wings, burgers, hot dogs, French fries, mini donuts, snow cones. All of it looks freaking fantastic. And have they got any other new menu items that we may not be aware of, Rick Diesel?
They're expanding the donut menu, the mini donut menu. I mean, I'm talking. What was it? Chocolate raspberry, I think, is one they were doing. I mean, that's something I had to talk to them about, because as the season ended last year, they was in the process of expanding the mini donut menu to adding several flavors. So that's going to be something interesting this coming year too.
Darren, if you got any new pictures you want to send me, do them like you've been doing them through Facebook Messenger. I'll get them up, get some of these swapped out for you. Let's see here. Specialty mini donuts, it says here: chocolate raspberry, Oreos, cinnamon toast crunch, fruity pebbles, cocoa pebbles, chocolate coconut, peanut butter cup, butterfinger, seasonal mini donuts, hot cocoa, apple cider, eggnog. So that's pretty cool. But that's the only other picture I have. If you've got any newer pictures of the food, send them to me too. I'll get them up here. But anyway, if you want to advertise with us, it's real cheap. $10 a month. We're putting the headlock on high advertising prices. Boy, that's a graphic that hadn't changed in about 4 years. It's still the same as I made it, because there's an error in here if you can spot it. But yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, $10 a month. I don't know about the video commercials. We hadn't any serious inquiries on those, but hey, we'll definitely hook it up. So $10 a month, $6 a week, and now it's getting tax time. So if you do taxes on the side, this would be perfect for you. You advertise throughout tax season, we'll get you a read every week. And like, we're gonna have to take next week off. We don't bill you for that. So, you get your 4 reads per month regardless. So, I ask anybody, that's $2.50 for a 30 to 60 second read. I don't know where else you're going to get that. And then we've got combined on both YouTube channels. What would you say, Rick Diesel? We've got over 1,800 on Ringside Wrestling. You've got over
2,700.
2,700 on the network. And how many Facebook followers to Mid Atlantic? If you just had to off the top of your head.
Last I looked, it's like 5,000 or 6,000.
See, I mean, you're not going to reach an audience that any cheaper. Go up, all right, just similar audience that Star News reaches, in the Martinsville, Reedsville area, similar sized audience, maybe a little bit bigger. Call up Deborah Buchanan and ask her how much 60-second commercial is going to cost you. That's going to be a hell of a lot more than $10. I can tell you that. So anyway, it's all right, Rick Diesel. You said you had something you wanted to show me.
Yes, I know I've showed these on here before, but every once in a while I'll run across these things and I like to get nostalgic.
Yes, let's do a nostalgia bit.
All right, let's start out with 2015. This is an article
Oh yeah, with the IKEA. Yes.
Going all over the world in the IKEA magazine, man.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Justin Flash. Ha! These things are so cool. Now, let's see here. 2001.
Oh,
The Winston-Salem Journal. All these
I know is that the one that's
organizations out there likes to talk about how they got put up in the Winston-Salem Journal. Yeah, well, we was doing it when you were still in diapers.
Is that the one that's 4 pages long?
Yes, it's huge.
I don't even know where our copy is of that. We have it somewhere.
Yeah,
but
we have a copy.
look at that. That's how I broke my nose, was on that move right there.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's the back.
Isn't there a picture of me with my cat?
That's the article. That's the article, by God. Pull out, people. All you big shots.
Isn't there a picture of me and my cat in there too?
Let me look.
That's incredible. I'd forgotten all about that.
Yeah.
What's the date on that, Rick Diesel? Just I'm curious. I'm stickler about.
August 19th, 2001.
Oh, okay. So a few weeks before the terror attack.
What, almost 24, almost 25 years ago?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A few weeks before the terror attack.
Hey, I want to know how many of these marriages in the wedding section are still going.
Considering that whole article is about us being married and stuff. Yeah.
Let's see here.
And then let's go back again. July 5th, 1993.
Oh, my.
I was still in high school back then.
Who is that?
I see Don Hopkins.
There's Brian.
There's Brian. Oh, okay.
Ah, look at him.
There's Ben, and I can't remember who Ben was working with there.
I think it was Jimmy, or
it might have been,
or Brad. It's probably
that was 1993. We was doing some training, man. So yeah, that's us. That was 93. That was what, 32 years ago?
Yeah. That was the year I started. I started in 93.
I run across all three of these the other day, and I just had to bring it up there because everybody always likes to show their newspaper articles. Hey, look, we made it. Yeah, well, okay.
The thing I was asking Brian this last night because I was watching that Cyber Zone with him and Steve Niles in that casket match that I'm surprised somebody didn't get tetanus from. First of all, where did y'all get that casket? Because it looked like you pulled it out of the ground.
That came from Tennessee, I think.
Well,
I'm not mistaken. I think they drug it up here from Tennessee.
But then I was asking Brian what his first hardcore match was and when was the first time y'all did a hardcore match, and he couldn't remember.
But I was telling her it was more of just like a process. It wasn't like this definite line of we are now doing hardcore. It just started getting more and more implemented in the matches as it got more and more popular with in the wrestling world. And so it was just kind of a transition. There wasn't like a one day, one show, we're now hardcore. It's like it was just this slow transition. So there wasn't really a set time. It was a time period where it kind of started and then built up and got more and more popular, and we started doing it more and more.
Well, one of my very first shows was you and Rick Diesel in that no ropes barbed wire match, and I think that was in February or March of '97. And so it seems to me that it kind of came on like when I joined up with the troop, it was already there a little bit, but it's like by the time '98 hit, it was full blown.
Well, and a lot of it had to do with the fact of us bringing in or having people that would do it, because a lot of the guys that AIWF first started out with, this was before Brian and Daniel. We was around for a little while before Brian and him came in for a year or two, and a lot of the guys that we done, the most hardcore extreme thing they would do, let's do a bull rope match, So, and then when we started getting more and more into it, we discovered more and more wrestlers that were willing to do it. A lot of them, there's a lot of them that we didn't know that would do it until they seen that we could do it, and they started saying, "Yeah, I'd like to do that." Yeah.
Terminator X comes to mind. Seems like it came around, boy. It really went into overdrive then.
Well, and then we drew it in. We attracted a lot of guys who wanted to start training with us then that wanted to do that. And that's why they came to us.
Yeah. So it was in the height. I mean, let's be realistic. Brian, you remember ECW was at its zenith in its original run about that time. And so hardcore was very popular.
Yes. Yeah. And a lot of people in the Martinsville area were really into ECW, and really and I think they had a lot to do with us going a more hardcore direction.
Yeah.
Because when we started, the more we did it, the more they would react, and they would do the chants of so and so is hardcore, and so I think the Martinsville audience really pushed us toward that direction. And again,
we've always, for as long as I can remember, we've always kind of let the fans dictate the direction.
Exactly. That's what. Yeah, we didn't start doing hardcore because because we were like, well, this is what we think's cool, so we're going to start doing it. It's that's what the audience wanted, and so that's what we did. Now we also had traditional wrestling for those traditional wrestling fans. But even some of those guys, wanted to get in, while they mostly did regular wrestling, they also wanted to get in on the hardcore because that's what was in at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think the only thing we done just about everything Brian, that was out there, right, except for scaffold matches. And if you can't do a scaffold match properly, don't do it. Properly, I'm sorry, but properly is the scaffold over the ring, not sitting beside of it or off in the corner somewhere.
5 feet wide, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Matt, what brought you to AIWF?
Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid?
Yeah.
Drank the Kool-Aid. Heard that before.
There's a friend of mine, and I think a statute of limitations has run out. So they and plus it's legal. I used to smoke weed with this girl that was a hairdresser up in Collinsville, and before I'd go to work, like she was having car trouble one winter, and I was taking her to work, and I'd drop her off at her job, hang out with her for a couple hours before I went to my job, and she'd smoke me down, as payment. Sometimes I'd get a biscuit out of it too. But we're all poor 20 somethings, right? We don't have any fucking money, and so anyway, one day I'm sitting there whether we're watching Jerry Springer, and Kool-Aid walks in there to get a haircut, and we got to talking. We're talking about Mike, good old boy Leroy McCoy, for those of you keeping score at home. And we got to talking. I was like, man, I seen you wrestle at an old ACW show a long time ago at Cable 6. And he was like, yeah, he said, I'm with a group called AIWF now. And I said, is that Rick Diesel? Like that? And because I had seen the show on TV in Martinsville, at the time. And he's like, yeah, like that. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool, man. I watched that show. I had never seen him wrestle on that show. So when he made this claim to me that, he was with this group, I was like, oh, okay. I mean, it sounds plausible, I suppose. I don't know. But anyway, he called me. We exchanged phone numbers and got on the horn that night after I got off work and talked about wrestling for 2.5 hours. And next thing I know, he's like, hey, we might be in a need of an announcer. Would you be interested? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, he said, well, show up at the TV station on Saturday. And I went up there, and that was that. That's how it happened.
It hooks you, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
We got met because of a hillbilly haircut.
Yeah.
Met because of a hillbilly haircut, yeah. And he didn't have much hair at the time, but I mean,
didn't I say what was he haircutting? That little bit on the side?
Yeah. Stewart circle around the
I can't remember if he had a lot of hair on his back. So.
Well, he had a lot of hair on the back and on the side of his head, but it would get straggly if he let it grow long enough, and so he'd have to come in there and get it cleaned up every now and then. So it was wild how that worked out. And then he was trying to get me into damn Bassett JCs at the time and all that kind of stuff. And one of my friends had to remind me, he's like, man, you getting a little spread too thin. You got 2 full-time jobs. You do wrestling. And now he's trying to get you to join the Civic Club, man. You got to slow down, So I didn't end up joining the JCs, but anyways, so that's my story. Oh, the divorce rate, North Carolina. We were wondering earlier about how many people in those wedding announcements back in 2001 are still married. North Carolina divorce rate was 3.2 divorces per 1,000 people in 2021. That is higher than the national average of 2.3 divorces per 1,000 people. However, the divorce rate in North Carolina has been decreasing for decades, it says. So that's good. You're on the right track, North Carolina. Don't bother saying the fucking words if you never mind. Uh, all right, let's see here. So have you got any other nostalgic stuff you can show us, Rick Diesel?
Well, no, I mean, but if we're moving out into the international thing, I want to know. I got a question for everybody.
Okay, what?
Now I sent y'all the podcast. I don't know if anybody watched it, but I want to know where everybody falls on which side everybody falls on the Rob Van Dam Dylan Hines feud.
Who's Dylan Hines?
I'm Team Van Dam.
It's Dylan Hines is
Bobby Fulton's
son.
Oh,
and apparently, just to give a little background, it's come out that they would have shows and then wouldn't pay anybody.
Did I not send you that podcast, Matt? I thought I did.
I think you did. I'm looking now.
I did not get a chance to watch it, but I have been following it. And I know either today or yesterday, that organization put up a black profile picture and then said that thank you for your support, but they're not running shows anymore. And Rob Van Dam had shared that and stuff. But I need to watch it because I know because everybody has a problem with them anyway. Like it's been going on several years now that people are talking shit about both of them or how like one's abusing the other and like it's just it's a hot mess. But
I remember hearing the audio of the son supposedly yelling at Bobby Fulton, but they only ran like once a year up in Chillicothe, Ohio. They only ran that big show once a year, but they put a lot of big stars on it, right? I mean, you know, I remember
they're supposed to have one coming up in March. I don't know but I've heard that it might be canceled.
Well, if they ain't paying nobody and that gets out, you know,
a lot of people, and everybody knows my run-ins with Bobby Fulton. I had run-ins with Bobby on two different in two different venues, well, not venues, but two different sports. Wrestling and tough man contest.
Well, some people might not know this because this has been a while ago, so you might want to like bring everybody up to speed.
Well, back in the 90s, Bobby Fulton wrestled for AIWF some, and I think the last time he wrestled for us was when he in Millers Creek, Millers Creek, North Carolina, when he gave me a concussion with the ring bell. And I don't remember the show ending that night or the ring being took down or going home or anything. But that ended my relationship. And then as far as the tough man contest, he used to rent our ring for a lot of his tough man contests that he had in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And I seen all the backstage shenanigans with that too. So.
Right.
But, you know, I digress.
I went to one of those in Wentworth probably 15 years ago. It hadn't been 20 years, but around 15. And it was at the National Guard Armory where we used to run, and you know, Robbie Stanley, his promotion ran there a lot after we left, and the place was full. It drew a crowd.
He always drew good, and you'd always have it over a couple of nights. He always drew. The only reason that we quit renting the ring to him is the state of North Carolina implemented the 4-rope rule.
Yeah.
You had to your ring had to have 4 ropes, and mine didn't, so he had to go a different route.
He had to actually get a boxing ring at that
point. Yeah. Once they implemented the 4-rope rule, that cut me out of it because I used to rent the ring out to actual professional boxing too.
Really,
and that ruined that.
Yeah, but I mean, from a safety standpoint, I understand. You know, you don't because the wrestling ropes are kind of made to be used and go through. And stuff like that. The boxing ropes are made to keep your ass in the ring. You don't see many people fall through boxing ropes unless they just get knocked.
And I was fine with it. I mean, you know, because it was just adding to my everyday headache anyhow.
Mm-hmm. And the boxing rings, I've never been in one, but it looks like the canvas on a boxing ring's more firm.
They don't have when I used to rent, remember the old ring with the spring?
Yeah.
When well, Brian's like, yeah, I remember that thing. Well, when I used to rent that ring, that was the ring I rented to him. And whenever we done professional boxing, we had to go in the spring and put blocks in it. so it wouldn't bounce.
No.
You know, it didn't have no give. So we had to stiffen the ring up. You know, and then so
Interesting.
Kevin loved at that time. We had to block that thing up at Elkin, boy.
Oh Lord!
Yeah.
Remember when Body Count and Havoc went through it?
Yeah, one of my favorite calls I ever made because it was just off the cuff. A Havoc cutter in the hole.
Yeah, buddy.
Everybody gave me a pat on the back for that call. Because it happened so. I mean, he's going for an Irish whip. Body Count reverses it. The ring breaks. Body Count falls down, and the only thing I knew to say was, "Whoa, the ring broke." And I was at a loss for words, and I looked at Billy, and he's just like horrified. And I was just like, and so I said it again. The ring broke. God, didn't know. What could you say? It broke. And then you shorted up with the cinder blocks, didn't you? And then
finished the show with a ring held up with cinder blocks. But they didn't make them as good back then as they do nowadays. So you don't have that issue as much nowadays as you did back then. You never know when the ring was going down back then, boy.
I'm telling you, man. And during Red Scorpion and Neil Leather's match, the way that match ended was Red Scorpion slammed Neil Leathers off the top rope right onto those cinder blocks. And Neil told me after the match that as soon as he hit those cinder blocks, the thought of kicking out was not an option anymore. He was just like, I was done. And so
good times, man.
Yes.
But anyway, I watched that podcast. Rob Van Dam, bless his heart. He's flying high, man. You can tell it too. He lives in Las Vegas. He can do what he wants to. It's very entertaining. One of the best podcasts I've ever watched in my life, and I highly recommend it to anybody who can find it.
Okay, it's called RVD, The Bad Business of Bobby Fulton and Dylan Hines, full size.
Yeah, he refers to Bobby Fulton as a bad business Bobby. And, and Dylan Hines, he refers to Dylan as Dildo. After about halfway through the show, that's all he calls him after that. Go ahead, Reagan. I'm sorry.
I need to listen to it. But what's funny is we're in the middle of their Mid-South run on 85.
Oh.
So we're right in the middle of all these weird montages of them wearing obscene bathing suits and walking around, and it's weird. It's just weird because it's just gross.
As we would have said back then, it's incredibly gay.
And that's exactly what it looked like. And it was just, and it's funny to what I've never met Bobby Fulton. I've just heard the stories, and I know people change over time, but it's funny to watch that and then think about what an asshole he really is and stuff. And it's very interesting. And I was going to say, speaking of podcasts, I've been listening to more. I haven't listened to a lot because he gets on my nerves. Been listening to a lot of Jim Cornette's Hogan Lies pieces. Yes. Oh my God, it's some of the best thing I've ever heard. Yes. The lies that come, and a lot of them, several of the ones I've listened to actually have audio from Hogan's interviews in them.
Yeah.
And man, listening to him talk about Hogan's lies is some of the best thing I've ever heard.
It is good, and you're late to the. Or if you notice, those clips are old. But I remember when they first started doing that, like just being stooped, like being in the shower and doubled over laughing, listening to that podcast because of some of the shit Hulk Hogan says. And that leads me to believe that that's why the fans boo Hulk Hogan. It's not because he dropped an N-bomb. It's just because everything he says is bullshit.
Yes. Because, go ahead.
My thing, what baffles me is Hulk Hogan has had one of the most amazing wrestling celebrity careers you can possibly have. He is arguably the biggest wrestling star of all time, yet he still has to make up lies. It's like, why your real life is amazing. What you've accomplished is more than most wrestlers can dream of, yet he still has to make things up. That's what's so pathetic about this whole situation.
And I agree with it. It was either Michael, going all the way back to that first Netflix. I agree with who it was, either Pat McAfee or Michael Cole. They were saying we would not be here if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, and I completely agree with that. You know, if anybody, even if you don't know anything about wrestling, you know, more than likely you know who Hulk Hogan is. And but to hear the stuff he says is just psychopathic. It is just. And if you have a chance to go back and listen to some of this stuff, because I was listening to stuff that was like a year old, and some that were like 8 months old. And so this is like old news. And I agree. I think it's because of all that crap that's why they boo him, because they didn't boo the Undertaker. And Undertaker came out to Kid Rock.
Yeah. So, and Undertaker was a Trump supporter too. So it can't be that.
No.
So, because they cheered the Undertaker, and that's in Los Angeles, you know, and
I think Hogan's narcissism has just got to the point to where he's not doing anything new, so he has to come up with stuff to keep people interested in him and stay relevant.
Yeah, it could be.
But you know what? There's Google. You can Google these stories and see that they're not true. I mean, like, but I guess if you're my favorite one I listened to was him talking on TBN, the Bible Network, and he said he was just a bag of meat filled with the Spirit of the Lord. Which is fine, but that description was it's
disturbing to listen to, though.
Yeah, is that what you filled Bubba the Love Sponge's wife with?
Remember,
the Lord. Yeah.
Hulk Hogan has a big penis. Terry Bollea does not. That's what he said in his testimony, or something like that.
They say never meet your heroes. That's an example of it. He just does it in public. You know, like Flair right now. If like I saw Ric Flair in a bar, I just probably like avoid him.
Oh my God.
And Flair did something really cool for my Uncle Lonzy back in the 80s when my cousin Alan was in the Navy in Norfolk. He walked into a bar one afternoon. Flair was sitting in there talking with a couple of girls and drinking. And he told him, he's like, hey, my dad's a real big fan of yours. Will you make out write him out an autograph, please? And he's like, sure, pal. What's your dad's name? And he was like, Lonzy. And so Flair is drinking, and he signs a napkin, hands it to Doug, and Doug looks at it, and it says, to my biggest fan, Lindsay, thanks for your support, Ric Flair. And my Uncle Lonzy kept that with an autographed picture of Ted Williams in his bureau. So that was a big deal to him, and I'm glad. And that was what shows you how cool Flair was in his heyday. But now,
how drunk he was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's been perpetually drunk since probably 1981.
You know, Chris Nelson met Hogan at one of the hotels where it might have been the Marriott. He gave him one of his. He gave him the do-rag off his head.
Oh.
Nice. But it smelled like Ben Gay. Like I'm talking about, it smelled. I mean, it was Ben Gay. That's what it smelled like. So, which was really funny. So,
well, maybe that explains some of the lying. Maybe he's got some kind of head trauma. If he was putting Ben Gay on his head,
maybe the Ben Gay seeped into his brain.
I don't know.
That's why I don't go to wrestling conventions. I don't want to remember these guys as old, because I get invited to them all the time. And I don't go, I don't want to remember those guys as this old sack of, balding wrinkles. I don't want to remember them like that. And meeting them would never, ever be that important to me that I would go, now if I was like if I was to bring one into to one of our shows, which I've done, and I've been burnt several times, Sandman, Sabu. That also reinforces my whole thing. Like Matt said, don't never meet your heroes. I don't want to go see them like that. I don't want to remember them like that. I don't want to run across them in the bar in the hotel and see them slobbering drunk.
Okay, well, see, I'm the complete opposite.
Really?
Yes, I'm the complete opposite. Some of the best time, and I'm going all the way back to like 99. Some of my best times was meeting the WCW guys in the bar.
But that was after a show when they're still working. I'm talking about conventions when they're sitting there in a wheelchair.
Well, I'll give you an example. Go ahead, Reagan, but I'll give you an example of an exception to that rule. But go ahead, Reagan.
Well, I was going to say, everybody knows I love a convention. I've gone to some every year. And, you know, I pick and choose who I want to meet. Like, because I mean, it's pretty well known now with the internet who's going to give you a hard time and who's not. Because speaking of all this, I sent you this. Sting is, after this year, he's going to meet fans, but he's not wearing the paint anymore. And I'm not going to pay $100 to meet Sting if he doesn't wear the makeup. I think I don't want to see Steve Borden. I want to see Sting.
Steve Borden is some asshole. To see Sting if he was wearing the makeup and cleaning my toilet.
Yeah, I hadn't really.
But I wouldn't pay $100 to meet any wrestler.
I hadn't wanted to see Sting wrestle since the 90s. So, you know, that's just, and I know he had a lot of good years in TNA, but that's just, my fandom was done not long after the Crow gimmick, you know, and then he joined the NWO. And it's like, even though it was the Wolfpack, it was just like, how could you? You know, I mean, you fucking.
Well, a good example is in 2023, I went to the Cauliflower Alley Club. And that was when they put the Nasty Boys in. They give them some award out there. And I'll never forget sitting in the banquet hall or in the in the meet and greet they had that afternoon and seeing which one is the blonde one? Knobs?
Right. Yeah, Knobs.
Brian
Knobs.
He come in on his rascal scooter. And I mean, he's had a hard career, so I understand why he's in that. But that's not, you know, and he was just foul-mouthed when he gave his acceptance speech, foul-mouthed, you know, and all the people on the stage was having to kind of look down at embarrassment. And that's just not how I wanted to remember the Nasty Boys, you know?
Yeah.
I don't really want to remember the Nasty Boys.
What about Jerry Sags? How did Jerry Sags act? Was he the same way?
He was cool. He done really good. He would actually try to interrupt Knobs, you know, and say, hey, yeah, well, you know, and, you know, try to do damage control. But it's hard to do. And that's, I mean, I didn't want to see them. I guess I just never, like that Reagan said, I want to see Sting, not Steve Borden.
Yeah.
I don't want to see them as they really are. And that's the way they are at these conventions. That's why I don't go to them.
You know what? I can give you an example of a person that's not that way, but they are in a wheelchair. Magnum TA, because he got hurt so long ago. But when you see him at those conventions, he's still super fucking sharp. I mean, his mind is as good as it ever was. And he will sit there and tell you, I can't believe it. He said, I got hurt 40 years ago. And people come up to me and they'll give me money for my autograph and picture, just like I'm still wrestling. I don't believe it. I mean, he sits there at these conventions in stunned disbelief every time somebody comes up and talks to him. And he just is friendly, you know, and he can remember stuff that happened way back then, you know, just like it was yesterday. It's incredible. And he still draws a lot of people to come over and see him. They'll take their kids. It's good. I mean, that's my opinion.
Yeah. Well, Magnum TA in his short career, you know, his career got ended abruptly, but in that short amount of time, he made a really big impact on the wrestling business. Mm-hmm. And so that's why the name Magnum TA is still synonymous. It still carries a lot of weight because the short amount of time he did have in the business, he made such a huge impact on it.
Yeah. But for the most part, I agree with Rick Diesel. I don't want to see guys all broken down and all that kind of stuff. No, not really. I don't go to wrestling conventions because I don't like wrestling conventions because it's like the worst of the indie nerds that show up there. And but if you give me a choice now, do I mind hanging around with 15,000 wrestling fans? No. If we're in the Spectrum Center at Raw or SmackDown, that's wonderful. You know, I love that. But I don't like wrestling conventions.
I love it. I love it so much. I just don't know. I just love it. And you know, I don't meet every person. You know, like I said, I'm very picky about who I, you know, get a picture with. So, but I am a huge mark, and everybody knows that. And it just it's just, I love it. I just love it. And
I am considering going back to the Cauliflower Alley Club this August because I hadn't been in a couple of years. But I have an agenda, so don't have anything to do with meeting stars. It's a different agenda, but I may go back this year.
What do they have that? Do they host it at the same hotel every year, or?
Well, it was at I think the Gold Coast for a while, and they've moved it over. It's right off of Fremont Street.
Oh Lord.
I can't think of the name of it.
So you're not going to be
Cauliflower Alley Club on Facebook. It's
So you're probably not going to be able to stay at the same hotel that they have the convention at.
Yes, I did 2 years ago. Yeah, you can get packages right there in the hotel.
Oh, okay, all right.
And you can watch them stumbling around afterwards. And
those hotels on Fremont Street are old school though. They're kind of small, right? Like Wild West, rooms. Aren't they just a bed and a Bible, pretty much, right?
The one I stayed at, God, I wished I could remember which one it was. Man, I'll look it up while we're sitting here. But no, it was a nice hotel.
Okay. Because I just, like, for curiosity's sake, after I went to Vegas the first time and I saw the hotels that overlook Fremont Street and there were like people leaning out their window watching, just people watching. I went and looked at a couple of them's websites and I was like, oh no, we won't be staying there ever. Because they just kind of look kind of sleazy and kind of dank, and so, I mean, if you're going to Vegas on a budget, definitely look at hotels on Fremont Street, but let me go ahead and read some ads while Rick Diesel does that, and then we'll talk about Saturday night's main event.
Plaza Hotel and Casino.
Oh, that sounds nice. That sounds.
Oh, yeah, it is. I mean, it's a nice hotel, and I mean, and if you get the right room, like I did last year, you could look. My room was looking right straight there because it's not on Fremont Street. It's at the end of Fremont Street, across another street.
I got you. Okay.
So but I was able to look down Fremont Street, and I went down there a couple times and watched the nurses beat the guys at the little bar and grill that what does they call it? I don't know. It's
the Heart Attack Grill.
Yeah, the Heart Attack. I watched the guys get their ass beaten there by the nurses, and it was pretty cool.
Did you go there and eat?
No, I did not, because I was afraid they'd come at me with them whips and.
Well, they will if you don't finish your food. So you got to be careful what you order.
Well, I don't look good in a hospital gown anyhow. So.
Well, they don't make you take off your clothes. You just put it on over your shirt. And as messy as those burgers look, man, I've heard they're not that great, but it's a fun place to go one time.
Yeah.
But they won't, if you do mess up and don't finish your food, they'll ask you, the nurses will ask you, do you want us to hit you hard or hit you easy? And so, they try to make it not hurt if you're not into that. But
last thing I need is that to get back to Ginger.
Well, let her be there with you. That way she can witness.
Take her with me to Vegas.
Oh my! Well, that's a can of worms I did not want to open up. Oh boy, ranch management, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we're showing you a picture of a tree and a bush. Spring is coming, and you want to get on top of it. Planting time is done. It's before you know, the weather's going to be warm again. Pressure washing, general contracting, gutter cleaning, free estimates, branch management. Reach out to them at 336-648-2487. That's 336-648-2487. They can come out and do weekly lawn treatments, whatever you need. They got you covered. Branch management. Give them a call. They're our first sponsor here on AIWF Ringside Wrestling and still hanging with us after all these years. 336-648-2487. Best concessions in wrestling. We were talking about them earlier. Tees Treats, locally owned food truck based in Mount Airy. Great pizza, delicious dogs, and decadent desserts. So that's why they call it Tees Treats. The desserts are kind of the focal point. But they got all kinds of stuff, man. 336-755-8204. Or you can follow them on Facebook.com/Tees Treats. And again, 336-755-8204. You can call them and find out where they're going to be. Any new menu items we need to be made aware of, Rick Diesel, that are coming up?
I have not been told now. I have not been told yet, but I do know that everything's starting to gear up with the food trucks in the process of building a fourth one. But it's just going to be a companion truck. But as far as Tees Treats go, their schedule is picking up. I do know that they've already scheduled like the big events in Dobson and Merle Fest and Fiddlers Convention in Mount Airy and Surrey County Fair and the Fiddlers Convention in Galax. All those big events are starting to pile up now. So it's going to be a good year. We're excited.
Yep, sounds like it. All right, and Trista has a new YouTube channel. Is that in relation to the food truck, or what is she doing over there?
I have no idea. I have not been privy to that yet.
She does not watch this show. You could, if she wants me to plug her or put her over with the Ringside Wrestling channel, I'll be glad to do it to help get her some eyeballs.
I'll tell her.
Yeah, let her know.
She needs to get her menu together and send it to you for this year anyhow. So
yeah. And just if you want to give her my number, tell her to shoot me a text message.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be fine. Let's see. Secondhand Heroes, our friends in the Lynchburg area. It's your nerd shop, man. It's like the comic shop in Big Bang Theory, only better. And the people that run it are not weird like Stuart. But it's a great shop. It's better because they got all of the classic video games, console games, the old arcade stand-ups. They host video game tournaments, Magic the Gathering, D&D. I mean, whatever, man. You know, if it's in the nerd department, they got you covered. I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you at all. They are located at 18184 Leesville Road in Evington, Virginia. And they're open 7 days a week. All you need to do, if you want to set up a D&D game or you want to jump in on one of the Magic the Gathering tournaments, call them 434-317-0121. That's 434-317-0121. Something for the gamer and collector in us all. And you can reach out to them as well as email secondhandheroesva@gmail.com. And the second is not spelled out. It's the abbreviation 2ND. secondhandheroesva@gmail.com. Come and get your nerd on. Yeah. All right. So Saturday night's main event had its second thing last night. And Rick Diesel, you interrupt me at any point if you find that what you're looking for there on the internet, what you were Googling, which I've forgotten already. Oh, Reagan is not the only one with memory issues on this program, ladies and gentlemen.
I forgot. One of the owners of Secondhand Heroes had sent me a song about it, but I
got that too. That was cool.
Yeah, I didn't. I've been really busy this past week, so I just told him I don't know if he wants us to share it or not. He didn't say.
You know he does.
Oh yeah, he's plugging the business. I'm sure he does. If one of y'all send me that, I can play it.
It's 2 minutes long, so you might want to.
Yeah, we'll play it next time. But go ahead and send it to me.
I'm doing that right now.
All right. So I'm not trying to deliver any spoilers, but we do need to talk about this in a timely fashion. It was Saturday night's main event. Lillian Garcia, to be 60 years old, defies logic to me. She looks the same as she did 20 years ago.
She's
I don't know how she does it. She sold her soul to the devil.
Wait, 54? Did you say 54?
I think she's older than that. Let me see. Hang on. Lillian.
I think she's like 56.
No.
Yeah.
She's one of those ones that either looks really good or had really good work.
58.
Yep.
58.
Yep.
Do you know what? Do you know what's shocking about that? Like you think about the Golden Girls, like back in the day and how old they looked, and they were younger than that, I think.
Yeah.
Some of them, which is just crazy.
Yeah. But anyway, Lillian was on the show last night. I joke with Jinky all the time. Lillian Garcia has probably been proposed to by more men than anybody else, because I remember when she first came to WWE in the late 90s, you would go to Raw in Greensboro or something, and if you were down on the floor and you just heard, "Lillian, will you marry me?" And it would be like, you'd hear it every 15, 20 minutes from somewhere, and she wouldn't sell it. She wouldn't even look up.
Well, I'm sorry, but at 58 years old, she's putting every other woman in that ring to shame.
Yeah. Well, Daphne LaShawn is, I think she's a little arrogant on social media, but she's not an uggo by any stretch of the imagination. But that's the referee.
I like Lillian Garcia's announcing. I don't like any of the other women that have been on the main roster. I think they're just like, I don't mind some personality with an announcer. That's fine. Like, I like that they have a little, like, but like the last two, the one that's doing it now, and then Ricochet's girlfriend, it's just too over the top for me.
The one that's on Raw that you're talking about, Reagan, is called, her name's Alicia Taylor. And yes, I'm with you on that. I think she just screams into the microphone.
And I just
that's becoming a trend, though. I've seen independent wrestling companies that'll get a female ring announcer, and they're doing that.
And
that's what they see on TV.
Because to me, it's just like when I think about a ref. Like, you can have a ref with some personality, but neither an announcer nor a ref should not overstate. What am I trying to overshadow the wrestlers in the ring. And I think that sometimes happens with some refs and some announcers. Like, it's more about what they look like and what they sound like than announcing the wrestlers. But I'm just an old hateful person. So,
well, notice the style of the microphones. It's the old school Madison Square Garden look with the double microphones,
like that.
And they would drop it down to Lillian when she would get in the ring, and then when she was done with her announcement, she'd turn around, walk off, and it would go back up. So that was nice for me.
That's neat.
So we got to see Nia Jax and Rhea Ripley have another match. It was pretty good. I got no complaints about it. It place was jam-packed to the rafters. They didn't have people back here this time, but for San Antonio crowd in a very tall building. It reminded me of the Spectrum Center. Those upper deck seats, Lord have mercy, you got vertigo. You're not going to be able to sit up there. But yeah, held a good crowd. It went back and forth. Rhea eventually won. There's the Riptide.
Well, that outfit that Nia Jax was wearing, I was just waiting for Batman to come out of the ceiling and haul her off to the Gotham prison. But she looked just like the Penguin. The Danny DeVito Penguin.
There's the Medusa was there last night. I forgot about that. With the famous championship belt she threw it in the trash can.
That's what she threw away.
Yeah. So she's a
that
good
monster trucks ain't been nice to her.
She looks
everybody gets old. There's Mark Henry.
I never thought that she would though.
I mean, but to hear her tell stories. Now, here was an interesting match. This is the one that Jesse the Body did. The Intercontinental title match with Braun Breaker defending against Sheamus. And Jesse kept calling it somebody's foot was on the rope. And I did not see that. Of course, I had a couple of cocktails by that point. And so I'm going to have to go back and watch it again. But to me, this was just knockdown drag out like you expect from these two. This was actually the match I was looking most forward to on the card. And it delivered, I thought. I mean, it wasn't WrestleMania main event quality or anything like that, but it was a pretty fucking good match. I encourage you to go, if you hadn't seen it, go watch it. And they went back and forth, and eventually Breaker won, which we all figured would happen. But you want a good, hard-hitting match. You put those two in there, and they'll give it to you every time.
He's looking more and more like his daddy every day.
Yeah, he sure does. He's incredible. And he's going to be a world champion one day, I feel like. I don't know why not. He's just got all the athletic gifts. And his cousin, I guess, would be his cousin. Yeah, his cousin that's playing football in college now is planning to come into wrestling after he finishes college. He's not going to the NFL, I don't think.
You talking Scott's son?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And look at this. Dory Funk, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who Reagan hates.
Ugh. Ugh. Hate him so much. Ugh.
You need to meet
him. But you see, look, and this goes back to my convention thing. You know, I'm okay with these guys showing up here,
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they're in this setting. They're going back to what made them famous, and they're not sitting there now. I don't know if they've done the meet and greets where there's begging for money, but for a picture that was 30 years old. But I'm okay with them doing these little TV spots like this, but
Yeah.
that's not how I remember these guys.
Mm-hmm. Well, Dory Funk looks the same as he did in 1983 right here.
So does Hacksaw Jim Duggan. He looks just like he did in WCW in 1996 or 7, whenever.
He has held up well.
Mm-hmm. I'm in the middle of his Mid-South big run against Skandar Akbar, so he don't look much different. No. Ted DiBiase, I mean, I don't know. I think Rick is just too jaded.
The Dory Funk's still kicking, man. That's awesome to me. I when I saw Dory Funk, I was like, that is so cool. All right, so then Shawn Michaels headed to the ring with him and his hat to do the contract signing between Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes for the Royal Rumble. It'll be a ladder match. The Winged Eagle and the WWE Championship will be on the line. So they're going to consolidate. There's no consolidation needed. Kevin Owens just stole the damn belt. Everybody knows that. And so they got in and had a pretty intense face-to-face. They really seem like they do not like each other, and I love that. This was a very tense segment. Their feud has been tense. But and look at Kevin Owens' shirt.
Cody sucks eggs.
Yeah.
Is that not awesome? Isn't that a throwback? As soon as I saw him last night, I was like, oh, Terry Funk.
That's Terry Funk.
Yeah. And Cody sucks eggs. I know he probably had that made at a t-shirt shop or probably on site, but I would love it if they sold those on WWE Shop.
You'll see it on TeePublic soon, I'm sure.
I'd love to have that shirt. I almost bought the Dusty Sucks Eggs shirt once, but they got that at Pro Wrestling Tees. So then they get into it, and Shawn Michaels breaks them up, and then
we always talk about women not aging well. Shawn Michaels did not age well either. That's so sad to me.
That's why, well, I mean, he put his body through a lot, but hey, he's helping Javon Evans learn how to make a lot of money in this business right now. So that's another one I never want to meet because I hear he's a real asshole too. But one of my favorite wrestlers, but anyway, then we had the Battle of the Bulls. It was local boy Braun Strowman against Jacob Fatu. And they had what you would expect. Bowling shoe, ugly, big, strong guy, beat him up match. And then Fatu got Strowman down in the corner. That's a good shot when he gives him that ass smash to the head. Look at the perspiration just flying off his face. Excellent photo. And
what if these are photos or screenshots from the camera angles?
Could be. I don't know. But anyway, they had Jacob Fatu basically got himself disqualified and beat up Braun Strowman something fierce. I mean, it was ugly. He splashed him 4 or 5 times. Did that move in the corner a few times, left Strowman bloody. I mean, and they probably won't have a still photo of the blood, but that's everybody trying to get him to stop doing fucking moonsaults on the guy. I mean, it was to the point that it was concerning for his safety. It was a beatdown of epic proportions.
So what they're saying is that Braun Strowman can't turn over cars no more.
Well, maybe Jacob can turn them over quicker. I don't know, but it was ugly. It was ugly. Oh, there it is. You can see his face busted up pretty good right there. That's stuff that had finally cleared Jacob and started to get him up. Do not know this face, or that's Davari, right?
No, but right there is the 3 stages of hairlines.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. I'm right here. I'm on 2 now. But that's it. Braun Strowman, that'll be the story coming out of this. He was decimated. And so if anybody knows who this gentleman is right here, just put it in the comments. And Jay finally pulled Jacob back. This San Antonian is not happy. And Jacob just looks confused, but and then the main event was why am I wanting to call him Ludwig Borga? Gunther, the Ring General, against Yeet Boy, Jey Uso. This was exactly what I thought it would be. I have to give credit to Jey Uso. He's getting better as a singles. Not relying on the super kick every third move. Him and Gunther actually had a pretty good match. But the outcome's probably what you expected. Anybody want to guess who won?
I have no idea, but I do like the fact that Gunther's wearing them high top wrestling boots. You don't see that very often anymore. So many people's wearing tennis shoes and boxing shoes and crap like that. I appreciate them boots he's wearing.
Gunther is very old school. When he says the mat is sacred, I believe him. And he's still the world heavyweight champion. Look at that. There's a guy with a son. Gunther is my champion. So he's got at least one fan out there. I love the guy. He is just such a traditionalist, and his matches are always good. They're never boring, always good. It's just a shame he's done his world title defense last night, so he's not going to be on a Royal Rumble card, more than likely, unless he enters the match. And I'm sure he'll enter the Royal Rumble match. And if you remember last year, he went start to finish. So, almost start to finish. I think he went out right before CM Punk went out, and then Cody won it. So Gunther's a bad dude, man. What are you guys' thoughts about Gunter? Rick Diesel, you kind of complimented him on his boots. Have you got to see him wrestle much?
I haven't seen a whole lot of I've watched a couple of his matches. He's a chopper. I'll always like choppers. Mm-hmm. You know me, I love a good chopper. Mm-hmm. But I agree with you. I like his traditional style. There's too many people's taking the old school look out of professional wrestling now, and and I miss the neoprene boots. You know what I'm saying? And the traditional wrestling gear, which I'm a little more okay with the new type gear, but I'm really big on wrestling boots. You know that. Mm-hmm. I've never been, if you want to wear tennis shoes, play basketball. So
yeah, but aren't those shoes though? They're custom made, like they're wrestling shoes. They look like sneakers and basketball shoes, but they're not actually. Is my
no, I agree. I can take the amateur wrestling boots a little better than I can tennis shoes, but just like Uso there was wearing freaking tennis shoes, he probably bought at Target.
No, that's my point. Don't Nike make wrestling shoes now?
They do for collegiate wrestling, amateur wrestling.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but I'm sure the WWE can get any shoe made into a wrestling.
Yeah, I'm sure they can.
And I think if it goes with the gimmick, it's fine.
Because this looks like treads, but it's not. My understanding is these shoes like this that look like sneakers or tennis shoes, depending on what part of the country you're from, that's actually a slick bottom just made to look like that. It just looks like that. I don't know.
There's a lot of wrestlers wearing shoes. They're wearing footwear, I'll call it, with heels on it too. That used to be a big no-no in the business.
Whatever.
Lifts.
Every bunkhouse stampede and wrestler who had a cowboy gimmick wrestled sometimes in boots.
But most of their boots, they took the heels off and put neoprene. Back in the day, they put neoprene soles on them.
I know, but they still look
at Barry Windham's boots. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have the in a bunkhouse match or a match like that. Yeah, street fights, but in a regular wrestling match, it's always those slick bottom neoprenes.
Yeah. Yeah, Barry Windham just had his cut to look like cowboy boots, but they were wrestling shoes.
I can't say anything because I wrestled in high techs. So
yeah, I think Cena really started that movement when he went to the Dr. Thugonomics thing, and people at the time didn't realize, and it's just like we were just talking about. Those shoes were custom made for wrestling for John Cena by one of the shoe companies. He had some kind of deal with them. So, they appeared to be tennis shoes or basketball sneakers, they were not. But anyway, that's about all I got. What do you guys got? Anything else we need to cover in wrestling? Have you seen anything particularly stupid on AEW you want to call out, Reagan?
No, it's been been pretty pleasant.
Well,
I did see that they're going to be, the rumor is they're going to put their pay-per-views on Amazon Prime, but it hasn't talked about pricing. I do think if you want to see the best woman wrestler in history, you need to go and watch Toni Storm on AEW. If you don't watch anything else, you need to watch her. She is the best. She's the best. She's the best gimmick, the best wrestler, the best storyline person in AEW right now. So that's my.
Well, I got all my stuff out of the way because I was supposed to have actually been off here 12 minutes ago.
Uh-oh. Well, yeah.
Sundays are tough for me, so I'm gonna jump off here. You guys, I wanted to stay as long as I could, stayed a little over when I should, but I'm gonna jump, bounce. I got stuff I have to do on Sunday afternoons.
I've got to jump too. It's getting about football time, and I think we've covered everything. So we're gonna shut it down.
I did make it to the end then.
We're not going to be here next week because I'm going to be at the Bush Clash or Cookout Clash is what they're calling it this year. So, but we'll be back in 2 weeks.
I'm going to be rocking to Alice Cooper.
Yes, that's going to be so awesome. I hope you have a good time. All right. So for Brian and Reagan, Rick Diesel, I'm Mad Matt Carter. We'll see you next time, fans. And until then, so long for now.